Welcome to Eden Talk, the home of power-packed presentations and captivating conversations. Here, our discussions are dynamic, enlightening, and deeply nourishing for the mind. We delve into a wide array of subjects, from insightful book reviews to the latest in current affairs, to pressing socio-economic issues and profound theological discussions. Sit back, relax, and prepare to be inspired. We hope you enjoy this episode.
Greetings and welcome, friends, to another episode of Eden Talk, where we are still discussing varsity life. And this time, we'd like to get a parent's perspective on this whole student's journey. We've talked to educators, we've talked to the students themselves, and a big piece of the puzzle is the parent's perspective. And I'm here joined by a brother of mine, and in some circles, a mkwasha of mine. But mkwasha, be very free to have this conversation.
Yes.
Anything you say will not be held against you.
Not being under Tezara.
Exactly. So
Yes.
the purpose of the conversation is really to help the outside world,
Yes.
from your own experiences. Mr. Mnyawiri, who is Mr. Mnyawiri?
Well, my name is Clifford Munyawiri. I'm a Shona, born in Zim, resident of South Africa. I'm a father of 5 children,
All right.
and they all went to university, up to the last one.
That's great. And there was lots of sacrifice on your part. I mean, to see all 5 of them going through the education system up to the university level, it means a lot. And I'm sure we're going to benefit a lot from this conversation.
Well, it is. Also, I've learned a lot out of it. You know, as a parent, during our days, I didn't go as far as university. I only went as far as the high school, and I didn't finish. Because of, during the apartheid.
Yeah.
And I've studied a lot of things out of that, of which, if I am to advise the young ones coming about grooming up their children until university, I think I can teach them a lot.
You say something very important here. You said in the process you've learned a lot.
Yes.
So I can imagine as your children were being kept on those graduations, in a way you were also being kept.
Exactly.
Because of the education that you'd have achieved also in the process of taking them through college.
For the first time, if you have never been to a university and you have no knowledge of what's happening at university, you take it simple. But it's not as simple as that.
Yeah.
And your wishes, for the first time, like in my father's house, my kids are the first ones to go to university. And when they went to university, we had that fear, is he going to succeed or is going to drop?
And what is this animal called university? I'm sure those are the kind of questions.
Exactly. So when you hear some, they go for 2 years, instead of completing 4 years, they drop, and the parents have spent a lot of money. Then you find the child is going for drugs and all this, you end up in prison. You see, that fear comes to you too.
Yeah, am I not exposing my child to this kind
of thing?
Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you for that, and I think you really start on a very high note in this conversation. But maybe just to help other parents.
Yes.
Maybe, as you say, your children were the first to get into university within your father's family, right?
Yes.
Maybe there is one similar person who's watching us today. What would you advise them, towards planning for a child's university? When is the best time to start those plans?
The first time, as soon as the child is born. In our days, it's easy. The child is given an ID number on the day of birth. And you also give the name after the birth of the child. Open an account, save for the child.
And so from birth, you're already preparing for their education.
You should prepare
for their education.
For her education.
Yeah, and that's quite interesting. And a lot of people, I think, would be caught up in this trap of running around in the few years towards university, and yet there was, this time that they could have been preparing for their child. But maybe moving further, I know there are other pressures of life. Other pressures of life that demand your time,
exactly,
your resources. How then would you?
I wanted to come through into that. You save, and the child is naughty. He doesn't want education. Then you have a brilliant child who needs to be educated, and you don't have that money. If you look at our days, most of the kids, without bursaries or what, they are dropping because of the fees. And it's not all government which are helping the kids to finish up, to further up their education. Studies, yeah. Now, that's why I'm saying you should prepare. I know with finance, we have so many problems of getting finance. You lose your job, you can't get the job. But if you want your children to be educated, there are so many ways of killing a cat. I can become a vendor for my child to go to school. I can be a farmer for my child to go to school. That's if I want my child to go to school.
Yeah. So you know what? I've just been picking in your words now that sometimes you can save, then the child that you're putting this effort for is disinterested in school. Or maybe that's not their line, that they want to pursue. Maybe they are not gifted in that regards. I see you want to.
Every parent wishes the best from the child. Well, if it's like that, you can't kill him. You can't force him. You can't do anything. But try your best to educate your child.
Yeah. So, in other words, what you're saying is, better to be found on a rainy day with an umbrella.
With an umbrella.
Than to look for an umbrella when it's raining.
Yes.
So just have a plan in place.
Have a plan for your child. Also, start educating your child when she's still small. And most of us, we know the parents, it's not easy to educate a child in the house. One, the children are scared because we weep. Now, if you call a child, sit down here, he thinks I'm going to be whipped.
Yeah.
Yet, no. And I think the help mostly comes from the Bible, from the church. When you take your children to church, get educated also at church, it helps you too.
It helps.
Not for you only, without God. Nothing you can achieve if it's a not child.
Yeah. So you spoke about the preparing them, the resources, financial resources, just to make sure that when the time comes, you are able to,
to finance
their studies. But also the other preparation that I'd like to hear from you, what role did you play in the selection of study programs of your own children, or what do you recommend for parents?
Okay. On my side, my first son to go to university, he was learning from another country. He chose for himself, and he applied within that country. When he came to me, he just came with the results. I got a space. I'm going to do this at this school. And I had no choice. I had to finance.
According to what he had chosen.
Yeah, what he had chosen. But after on, I found it's fruitful because he's doing very well.
Because he chose something that he had a passion for.
And he's even affording to sponsor the young ones, the followers from him. As it is now, he's got a doctorate.
That's good.
Yeah. And he's married also to a woman who is a chartered accountant, and they are doing well. So when the second one was coming, she followed the brother. She wanted the same course, and I didn't deny.
Okay.
And she was telling me, Daddy, I'm good in maths. I want to be an accountant. I said, okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
She succeeded. She had her master's. As it is now, she's back again to school. She's still studying. She needs honors. And the third one, that one I wanted to be a lawyer. It's a girl.
Okay.
But she said, no, I don't need that field.
Okay. So in your wanting her to become a lawyer or to pursue this course, what had you looked at? What was the consideration?
I wanted her to have a different
path
okay. from others.
All right.
But she says, no, I am still going to the same route. Okay. She's also a chartered accountant.
All right.
But the last one, that one, she decided to be a doctor.
Okay.
And when she told me, I said, how long are you going to be a doctor? She said, it's going to take me 5 years. I said, no, it's too long.
Mm-hmm. Why don't you find a shorter
course? Short one like others.
Okay. Yeah.
Says, no, this is what I prefer.
Yeah.
But she managed. She managed. Yeah. So I was very happy.
Yeah.
And I'm happy. And I could advise to the parents to say, don't choose what a child wants. You will disappoint you or she will disappoint you. Let her take what she feels she can
do. And, you know, we've had other episodes already where we had educators kind of like saying exactly what you're saying, that as parents, we can provide guidance.
Yes.
But in the process, we should not be dictating what the child should be doing.
With me, I agree. I do agree. Because I've seen to my children, if I had forced, like this one wanted to be a doctor, I also wanted to take that course which the sister refused, to be a lawyer.
To be a lawyer.
Yeah. And, or to be an engineer. But she says, no, Daddy. I don't want to be an accountant. I don't want to be an engineer. I would like to be a doctor. I would like to help the nation. When she said, I would like to help the nation, I became weak. I said, I think she's on the right track.
Yeah. So,
and even my wife, she supported. Because my wife, in my country, she was a qualified nurse.
Okay.
But coming into this country, because of not getting papers in time, she couldn't. She's a houseworker now.
Okay. No, that's fine. So what I find also striking is that your consideration on the choice of a path to pursue was so that you are different from your siblings that have already studied something different.
Yes.
Then on the last one, the consideration was that one is too long. Study something that is shorter.
Which is short.
So that you can quickly be absorbed in the market.
Yes.
So I'm looking at those reasons and justifications for your own decisions.
Yes.
And sorry to say Mkwasha, but
no, it's okay.
It doesn't, they don't hold water, right?
Yes.
And this is often the mistakes that probably as parents we make.
Yes.
That we are thinking from our perspective. We want a shorter course so that I only pay school fees for a few years.
I was going to tell you that.
Yes.
Because I wanted short periods.
Yeah.
So that, like now, I'm a pensioner.
Yeah.
And the last one went to school after being a pensioner.
Yeah.
And I could see my savings. So I thought, no, she must take a short course.
Yeah, indeed. So those are the kind of reasons that we take as parents sometimes, but they may not be in the best interest
of the child.
Yes. But I'm sure you're here today having this conversation with me.
But I'm happy now.
And you are happy now.
They all succeeded.
Yeah.
And they are doing well.
Yes. So maybe to our viewers, I think the point is, while we can guide the children that are under our care, ultimately the decision is theirs to follow what they are passionate about.
Yes.
Otherwise, we end up with dropouts.
Exactly. It's just as good as you like me. You tell me to do what I don't want. Will I do it with willingly or with forcement? So let me do what I think is best for me. That's what I did to my kids. Let them take what they can.
In one of the episodes, there was someone mentioned that because the parent wanted the child to pursue a certain course of study, because they wouldn't budge, they just pursued that course of study.
Yes.
And when they finished it, they say to their parent, now I'm starting what I want to
Exactly.
study. And they started their path that they wanted to follow.
I've got a cousin who did the same. He went to do engineering, but he wanted to be a lawyer. After finishing, he said, I'm still going back to school. I'll work, but I'll be paying for myself. I know you parents, maybe you couldn't afford. He's a lawyer now. That engineering course is aside. He was
now
working.
His passion.
Yes. And he's a lawyer. He's running offices. He's a lawyer.
That's I think eye-opening to to the involvement of parents within the decisions that their children make. But maybe just to proceed with our conversation, as you let your children go into the tertiary, unleash them to the tertiary world of education, what changes did you observe, positive or negative?
If I tell you, I think SDA church. Why I thank them? They groomed my children. I joined SDA when I was already old, through my children.
When you were already a pensioner?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to check that. All right.
Yes.
Okay.
And I joined through my son.
Okay.
He went to SDA Church in Yazula Mission in Zimbabwe.
That's a high school.
It's a high school.
Yeah.
I mean, a high school.
Yeah.
Then from there, he used to come holidays. No one could sleep without a prayer. He could read a verse. I was just doing it for the sake of him. But he brought something even to the siblings until they followed him. Now, when I look, all the kids are now Seventh-day Adventist members. My wife, why should we follow them? We join them. And they are God-fearing children.
We thank God for that.
I don't even hesitate even to let them go wherever. I know they are with God.
So they went through Adventist education system for their high school.
For their high school.
And in that, during that process, they were groomed. The church, as you say, played a role in preparing.
A big role. And I think that. I think if God, and also I thank my wife. Because I can't explain. I thought if she was here.
I'm sure we'll have her another day.
Yeah. And I saw they were now matured as from high school before to university. And they could even advise me to say, Didi, I think we should do this. We should do this. So when I look at them, I was not even hesitating for them to go to university. And even when they were coming holidays, weekends, telling me what's happening at school, I could just ask him, how do you feel? How do you see it? And the question was, I could see, they know what they are doing.
Yeah.
So I had no problem with them.
So those that grounding that they had received in their early years of school.
To know God is from they were still young. Yes.
It played a role when they came into tertiary education. That's fine. And you spoke, some of your kids were in residence. Another was in another country, another was, so they were in school residence. How did you keep in touch with them?
Okay. For the first daughter, she started university while she was from home. Okay. It was a challenge. She could leave home 5 o'clock. That means she used to wake up at 4. And she could sleep 3 hours. She needs to start. Coming back home, she would get home 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock because of transport. So it was a big challenge for her. And time for studying was so short. So when the others were coming, me and my wife, we decided they should go for residence. And this first one, she could cook, she could wash dishes, clean the house, of which all this was disturbance to her.
And yet she still had to do her school.
She had to do the studying.
Yeah.
So she's a brave girl because she managed and she succeeded. But to ourselves, when we sit down with my wife, we found it's not easy.
Yeah.
So we had to allow all these others to go to a residence. We sacrificed to pay for the residence. Well, although we knew we are freeing them to give them freedom. But we were monitoring. When they are off weekend, I could drive, go pick them, bring them back early Monday. Holidays, make sure they're at home. Bring their books, do their studying, and take them to.
So it's important for a parent to
be there for your children.
Every step of the way.
Forget about everything. It's very important. You want her to get educated. So be there for her. Be there for him.
Make the sacrifices.
Yes.
Pick them up when you need to.
Anytime.
Drop them off when you have to.
Anytime. It's stressy at university. They are stressed.
Yeah.
But they need time to be with you to relieve the stress.
That stress. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And as I'm also thinking, some do find idle time over the weekends. And you've mentioned that weekends you'd pick them.
Yes.
Holiday, you'd pick them. Was that your strategy to try and keep them away from other influences to make sure that weekends they are at home?
Once the remote is closed, the door, they're in prison.
Okay, so now is the home environment, and they have no one else but family around them to interact with.
Yes.
Okay, and that
because we know that most of the influence are from friends.
Yeah.
That's where they are being told, take this, start taking this drug, do this, let's go for a movie, let's go to the nightclub.
Experiment with this and do that. Yeah. And did you have any kind of misunderstandings with any of them? Not specifically saying who, when you wanted them home and they had their own plans for the weekend.
As I've told you, they are God-fearing children.
Okay.
I never had if I tell you as I'm here, I never hold a belt or a stick to be the child. Whenever I see wrong, I used to approach my wife because most of my children are girls.
Okay.
So I used to approach to the mother, please, what the daughter has done, can you talk to her? Now when the mother goes to them, he says, your father said this, and if he comes to you...
the issue is escalated.
So they respect me. They respect their mother.
And we thank God for that.
Yeah. And I thank God, I thank my wife. She could understand and she needed the education of the children.
And I think your story is, the commandment with the promise, honor your father and mother.
Exactly.
And it's testament of what God can do in paying back or repaying you for that, giving the parents their position.
The father said, if you can't respect your parents, how can you come to respect me? You should honor them. They are your parents.
The parents that you see.
Yes.
How can you honor God whom you don't see? That is quite important.
And coming back to finance, there's a big topic we should discuss about gapping of children.
Yeah.
Gapping of children. I know, because if you need all your children to get educated, space them.
Okay.
And it depends how many children you want. Because, for an example, I have a child this year. After 9 months, I have my wife is carrying. Then 1.5 years, he's got a child. 6 children in 5 years. How are you going to sponsor them at university?
it becomes a tall order.
A big one.
So
You
that
build-
all goes into the planning of where you want your children to be.
To be.
Thank you. That's an eye opener. And we also I'd like also to hear from you. How easy was it for you to be available for your children's milestones? Each one of them.
You know, as I told you, my son who first went to university is the one who pulled me to get to SDA. I learned a lot also from SDA. I was lost. I was in the world before. But since through AMO and through these lessons, I've learned a lot. It pulled me to be closer to my family.
The family, yeah.
Yes. So I was full-time to my family. Even now, I'm there for them. They can phone now, Daddy, I've got a problem. They know Daddy is here in 30 minutes' time. Be there for your children. To be a good father, good parent, be there for your children.
Yeah. And I guess also, maybe I can just comment on this. You didn't need convincing to come and have this conversation. I just told you that we've got this. This is the concept we want to run. We want someone to speak along these lines and give us their. And you instantly agreed.
Yes.
Not knowing whether you agreed because you're my mkwasha or you agreed just for the love of sharing that. But I think it's for the love of
sharing
and
to
helping
other
others.
parents, yes, especially those who are growing now.
The environment in which families are living now is different.
We are coming
difficult,
to Sodom and Gomorrah. If you can see what's happening in the world, see how children are becoming wild. Most of the parents are crying in the houses. How many street kids we have? They don't have homes. They have homes, but they are running from homes because they don't want to be controlled. So
whatever opportunity we get to also be of service to others is important. And you were obviously, maybe obviously is not the word here, but sometimes you were not there to observe certain milestones in your children's lives. How did you compensate for that? Or did you compensate for it? Was there need to compensate for it?
It's a challenge, that one. Especially mostly like transporting the children to school. If I'm not there and I've gone with a car, that means they have to hike.
They have to find a way to get
a way of getting to school. And they complain. Because when a child is used to be taken to school and picked at school, it's not easy for her to go and queue for the transport.
Yeah.
And lucky enough, on finance, my kids could understand. But for a child to understand, sit down with your children. Explain to them whatever you're doing with the finance so that they understand. Because you can't tell your child, I don't have money. Yet she knows you are going to work, you are working. Daddy doesn't want to pay this for me.
Yeah.
But if they know,
they have an insight into how you are using those resources.
Yes.
And it becomes easier for them to understand
the situation.
Thank you for that. And you also said, and I know you said your children, by the grace of God, are God-fearing. They never gave you sleepless nights. But I'm just trying to imagine, and maybe for the first time, someone is letting their children go into the secular world for university, and the children have that freedom for the first time. What would be your advice to parents? Some might even fail to sleep. And probably others might even deny their children university for that reason, because I don't want you to go, because you might face something there.
Can I just, before I answer you taming a dog, and you always tie it with a chain, lock the gates. When you release it and open the gate, what happens?
It bolts out.
It balls out.
Mm.
Otherwise, you won't find it. It won't come back. Just as good as that.
Mm.
Sit down with your children. Try to talk to them, lecture them, give them to God.
Lecture them on the realities of life.
Of life.
What they will meet when they go
Yes.
to the outside world.
Give them to God. They should be in the house of God. They will learn a lot with other youth in there. There's no way a church youth can teach bad things to a child. But if you let them just go to the other children who doesn't fear God, oh, it's a mistake.
And you are not involved in you don't know who their friends are.
You don't know. You are not there. Whatever they are doing, you don't know. And life is so sweet outside there.
It is.
It is sweet. And who doesn't want sweet life?
Soft life, they say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's where the devil is. He brings you into sweet things.
Only to leave you there. When things become rough.
And the sweet things, it's a poison. You get sick. So this is how it is.
So to be open to be upfront with the children, I think in one of the episodes we didn't touch on it in depth, but we spoke about those demystifying certain conversations that you can't. There's this understanding you can't talk to your children about these type of things. But I think in the world where we are living now, we need to be hands-on and be the ones to walk our children.
Yeah, but what type? Because we are two in the house. As I told you, most of my children are ladies. There are certain things I can't speak to my daughters. They need the mother.
Yeah.
But when I see to it, I'll talk to my wife. Please, talk to your children
Attend to this.
about this. When we grew up, it wasn't easy to talk about, I'm just sorry to say this on the screen, about sex life. But in our days, you have to. You have to.
Not talking about it is actually dangerous.
Yeah, but it's dangerous. Because as it is now, cousins are sleeping with the other children. Your brother can sleep with your daughter. Just imagine.
It's rough.
It's rough now. It's not like ancient, where you used to respect each other. There is no respect now. So you have to lecture your kids.
So this, as you say, the conversations on sex education, for example, and other social aspects of life that need to be discussed are conversations that should be had before the child goes out into...
Yes. As I've told you before, we have got youth at the church. They've got leaders there. They are free to teach these kids how bad is it on sex line. The mother is free to teach the daughter. I'm free to teach the sons. Explain. Don't get fear. Explain how dangerous it is.
If you don't teach them, someone will.
Then how is he going to teach them? A friend will tell you, hey, I'm enjoying with my girlfriend. You are behind. What's the come out there?
Yeah. Yeah, true. So this speaks to the importance of involvement in the child's life as they prepare to go out into university.
Into university.
Yeah. And maybe as we wrap up this conversation, as you look back, is there anything you would say, I wish I had done this differently? And what is that and why is that so?
It's a lot to explain, mostly on finance. If you want the succession of your child, he or she mustn't miss some of the things she needs. You have to supply. But if you don't have those finances, just imagine the child is at a resident and she hasn't got enough food. She ends up going to look for somewhere to get the money for food.
Yeah.
She's not dressing well like other kids at school. She's not happy. Then she gets stressed on books and on her life.
Her own life, her own appearance.
On her appearance. Stomach is empty. All those things, they need to be prepared for. Unfortunately, as I told you, I've never been to university. I never knew the life of university. But through sending these kids to university, I've studied a lot. And I'm even having corrections on them to say, I should have done this for my child. I should have done this for my child. Well, I thank God because they managed, of which where my problem was, they could sacrifice. Yes.
No, thank you very much. And as you said in the beginning, and as you just repeated now, you've learned a lot. You've in the process of taking your children to school. I believe you are now a chartered accountant yourself 3 times, and also a medical doctor.
A medical doctor.
So all that coming from experience,
house.
Yes, experience of taking your own children to school. And I'd like to thank you, Mr. Mnyaweli, for this time where you shared with us your own personal experiences and also an insight into the life of a parent as they take their child through university. Any closing remarks that you'd like to leave our viewers with as we wind up this conversation?
You know, it's a lot to explain to those who are viewing. Prepare for your child in time. Please try to support your child whenever he's at university. It's so stressful at university, studying. They don't sleep, these children. If you count the hours they are sleeping a day, once he sleeps, that means everything is slept. So please help them. Try to give them what they want. If you don't want your child to go out there to look for money, to look for anything, food, to look for something luxury, please supply.
Provide.
And explain. Sit down with your child. This is what I can afford. I'm trying my best. But if you just keep quiet and look at him or her, please, you are killing your child.
Then there's, this. There's also the challenge of oversupply as well. Sometimes there may be a need to overcompensate for certain things and give more than what is necessary.
That's why I'm saying, sit down with your child. No matter how much you are getting, oversupplying, they'll go and play with that money. They'll go and play with that food. They'll be having extras. There are children who can sell clothes. Because they want to go and buy cigarettes. They want to buy drugs. They want to go and drink. They want to enjoy. Tomorrow is coming to ask, he knows daddy is going to give, mommy is going to supply. Then he ends up selling. So you must limit. I know we want our children to be happy, but be in between. Be in between. Luxury sometimes, a children thinks she's got everything, not knowing that the parents will go, I will remain. Then she thinks she's got everything in life.
And that's the beginning of another problem.
Another problem.
Probably what we'll need to talk about in another episode that is to come. But once again, I want to thank you for taking this time to have this conversation and opening up to us and to the world out there, sharing your own experiences. And we're grateful to the Lord for what he has done in the lives of your children. And to you, our viewers, we hope you've benefited something from this conversation. And once again, we are not able to tackle every aspect into its full detail, but we are just triggering some conversation as you have discussions in your home, in your family. What are the things that ought to be considered as you look into your child's education? But please do engage with us, comment on this episode and other episodes that have gone on before, and we'll be happy to engage with you. And if there's any content that you'd like to see on these subjects of a child's life in tertiary education, or in high school, or in primary school, or just preparing your child, please feel free to engage with us, and we'll be right back. We'll get the relevant resources to engage on those subjects. Until we meet again next time, please be safe, keep well, and God bless.